And joining us now on the program, let's have a conversation with the folks at Loveland Products. He is Central Indiana Division Sales Manager. Jim Boswell is with us here today. Jim, it is great to talk with you. Thanks for the time. Hope all is well.
Good to be with you, Jesse. Yep, good to be inside out of the hot today.
I was going to say, I know the heat has returned for some folks, but we are in the home stretch. You're getting this crop done for 2025. Maybe a little heat could help in some spots. So definitely, though, we'll take air conditioning. Good to have you join us here today.
Thank you.
Let's talk first. Before we dive into the agronomy side, can you tell us about your background a little bit and what you do at Loveland Products?
Yeah, Jesse. So I've been in the business for 35 years, spent the first 18 years of my career working in crop protection, working for three of the major crop protection suppliers. About 17 years ago, made a change to the dry fertilizer industry and worked in that for about 10 years, and then came on board with Loveland Products here almost 7 years ago now. So that gets me to my 35 years. So I guess I can say the first half of my career I spent killing things. The last half of my career I've spent growing things. So we focus a lot on nutritional products and how we can help get the most bang for your buck for our grower customers with some of our technologies.
Well, I appreciate the background, and let's dive into this a little bit. You know, I kind of alluded to maybe a little heat to finish things off here for this growing season. What are the biggest nutrient management challenges that you've been hearing from growers as they wrap up this growing season?
Yeah, so some of the biggest challenges, I think, Jesse, are growers feeling like that they get the most value for their money, and then also taking advantage of those nutrients that they've already paid for. Give you an example, 240 bushel corn stover is going to have about $175 worth of fertilizer tied up in it. Now, the grower's already paid for that. What is the best way that we can mineralize that, release it, get it available for next year's crop? Because the farmers paid for it already. And so same way with the savings bank, what I call a savings bank, his P and K levels he's built up in those soil profiles. How can we mineralize that nutrition and get more of that available for the crop? So instead of feeding the soil, we're trying to feed the crop for that next growing season.
Well, you mentioned corn stover. How does crop residue like that, how does that impact nutrient availability?
So corn stover, from a nutrient availability standpoint, tie up a lot of nutrition. Obviously, when we harvest the corn, we're taking the grain only. With that is a lot of phosphorus-based type nutritional products. We leave a lot behind when it comes to potassium, sulfur. You've got some nitrogen tied up in that stover. It's our job to try to mineralize that and get it available and get it back in that soil profile to catch up with next year's crop so it can utilize it as well.
So I think about that. Do growers have options to maybe speed up some of that residue breakdown and that nutrient release, Jim?
Yeah, so whenever you can apply a product to that stover to help break it down quicker and help mineralize that nutrition that's there, that's a huge bonus as far as getting that stover in a situation where you can actually plant into it. And then also release those nutrients so the next year's crop can utilize it.
So thinking about that, are there any, what options are there? Do growers have any products from Loveland that can maybe help with that?
Yeah, so we sell a product called Extract XC. And when you apply Extract in your fall or spring burn downs, it'll actually help break down that corn stover much faster and help release those nutrients to get them available for next year's crop. And I've seen benefits of both. So if you do a fall application, obviously you're going to have stover that's broken down pretty well and gives you an opportunity to plant into that very readily in the spring. And then we usually see that nutritional pop early in the growing season on the next year's soybeans, somewhere around V4, V5. If we apply Extract in the spring, we'll get that same stalk degradation and get that stover broke down to where they plant a much easier into. And then we'll see that nutritional, what we call pop or nutritional response on the soybean crop around that R1 to R3 stage.
Well, thinking about Extract XC and maybe for growers using starter fertilizers, how can they improve their nutrient efficiency?
Yeah, so for a lot of guys using 2x2 starters, Extract XC is a great addition to that. Most guys are going to be applying phosphorus nitrogen, more than likely sulfur-based products in those 2x2 starters. By pulling out a couple of quarts of that sulfur-based product that they're using and replacing it with 2 quarts of extract, number one, you're giving a quart of sulfur back. And number two, you're providing a quart of Accomplish, which is our biocatalyst. It's just going to help everything work better and help mineralize what P and K values they've already built up in their soil profile already.
We are having a conversation today with Jim Boswell, Central Indiana Division Sales Manager for Loveland Products. And Jim, you mentioned sulfur, and I'm glad you brought that up. Can you explain some of the changing role of sulfur in corn nutrition for us?
Yeah, Jesse. So the old rule of thumb's always been for years, especially from the universities, you really need a 10-to-1 ratio of nitrogen to sulfur. So for every 10 units of nitrogen you're using, you really should have one unit of sulfur. I tell you, some of these guys that are chasing yield, I'll call them bushel chasers, and we have a lot of those guys that are chasing 300 plus bushel corn in our geography. We found that the more sulfur you use, the more yield response that you get. And a lot of that rule of thumb now has, for us, for these high yield guys, has become more of a 5-to-1 ratio. Whereas every 5 units of nitrogen that you're applying, you really need at least 1 unit of sulfur. And you can vary that sulfur application throughout the growing season, where you're putting some up front with starter. You can broadcast it up front, or even come back in with your side dress application later in the growing season.
Well, how does Extract XC fit into that side dress application and also into crop stress management, Jim?
Sure. Same concept that we use in our 2x2 starter, we can use Extract XC in our side dress applications. So a lot of our guys in our geography will actually add a sulfur source in with their nitrogen side dress. So just pull a couple of quarts of that UAN or sulfur source in with your UAN and replace it with 2 quarts of extract. Same concept. We're trying to mineralize what nutrition you're applying. We're helping to keep that nitrogen and sulfur in a form that plant can utilize longer. So we get longer use of our nutrition that we're applying. Plus, we're also helping to mineralize some of that nutrition that's already in the soil.
I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe another product from Loveland that kind of ties in here with moisture management and more is Black Max 22, kind of fits in with Extract XC. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why it's important to consider moisture management alongside nutrients?
Yeah, Jesse, it's a good point. We found over the last 2 or 3 years, the more carbon you can add close to that row, you're, number one, adding organic matter, you're adding water holding capacity, you're helping to mineralize that nutrition that you're applying it with. But yeah, Black Max 22 is a 22% humic based product that anytime we can add more carbon to that row, we're helping to set that plant up for success later in the growing season. So when we do have those dry spells, come June, July, we're able to hold more moisture. So it's almost like, if you think about it this way, extract will mineralize the nutrition and release it. Black Max 22 holds it. So extract helps to release it. Black Max 22 is going to help to hold it for that growing season.
Well, how flexible is Extract XC in terms of application timing and methods? Talk about that for us a little bit.
So extract's a great fit for, like we talked earlier, your fall burn downs. Add that in your fall burn downs, you're going to start to degrade that stover and get it available or ready to plant into come next spring. You can run it in your spring burn down. We found that if you're out there 3 weeks to a month ahead of planting with extract in the spring, it does a great job of having that stover broken down before we go in and plant into it. And then it's a great fit in your 2x2 starter system along with side dress.
Let's tie this back to the grower that's listening in today. What's your advice for fall nutrient and residue management here, Jim?
Yeah, so a lot of growers today, when you look at the current commodity prices, maybe looking to cut. For me, I'm looking to get more value for what I'm doing already. So for guys that are already making a trip to do their fall burn down application, either this fall or next spring, let's try to capitalize on that stover that's out there that could have as much as $150 to $175 worth of nutrition tied up in it. Let's get that released and get it available for next year's crop. That's the best bang for the buck for the grower. He's already paid for it. It's on his farm. Now let's get it available.
I think a lot of growers are looking at the ROI of many of the products they're using. So, for those who want a quick snapshot, how would you describe the value of Extract XC?
Yeah, so the value of Extract XC is that's of all the products that we sell, that's the one that we almost always get a return on investment with its flexibility, with the different ways that you can apply it. And like we talked earlier, corn stover has a tremendous amount of fertility that's already built into it that the growers left behind. Let's get that released and get it back in that soil profile. Especially when you look at, you can also use it in your 2x2 starters and your side dress applications to try and mineralize and hold those as long as we can as well.
I was going to say with Extract XC again, we've touched on this a bit, but growers, it sounds like they can improve their overall starter fertilizer program, side dress, things of that nature. Extract XC can really kind of help there, can it, Jim?
Absolutely. We've had a lot of success over the last 5 or 6 years in central Indiana, utilizing that technology and just getting the most bang for our buck for our growers. And I'll be honest, Jesse, early in the growing season, if these guys have used it in 2x2 starter, or they've used it in side dress, you can tell the fields that we've actually applied their nutrition with Extract versus our competitors. They're a different color, they're an additional growth stage, and the improvement is overall setting that plant off for a good start early in the growing season.
What would you say to growers, Jim, who are maybe skeptical about adding something new this fall?
Yeah, it's a great point, especially when you look at current commodity prices. There may be some guys out there looking to cut. For me, Jesse, it's about investing so you set yourself up for success. To me, we have to mineralize and make the most of all of our fertilizer applications we're making on the farm. Extract's going to give us that best opportunity to do that from a starter and side dress opportunity. When it comes to your fall burn down or your spring burn down, let's get that stover burnt down and get that nutrition released as quickly as possible for next year's growing crop.
Jim, any final tips for growers who are planning for next season already?
Yeah, I'll just say, when you think about your fall burn down program, let's think about not only burning down the weeds, but let's try to break that stover down as best as we possibly can so it's easier to plant into come next spring. And we're also helping to release that nutrition and get it available for next year's crop. Because it all comes down to getting the most bang for your buck and what's the highest ROI, and Extract has offered us that opportunity in our division in the last several years.
Well, Jim, this has been a awesome conversation here today. And for folks who want to learn more about Loveland products, I know Loveland, of course, is married up with the Nutrient Ag Solutions family, et cetera.
Yeah.
So if they want to learn more, who should they contact? Where should they go for more information, Jim?
Yeah, if you're a grower that's got a Nutrient Ag Solutions location in your area, I would consult with one of our highly qualified crop consultants there at your local location, or you can always go to lovelandproducts.com. All of the products that we sell are listed on there, and it'll direct you there on where to find more information.
Lovelandproducts.com for more information. Jim Boswell, Central Indiana Division Sales Manager for Loveland Products. Great to talk with you. Thanks so much for joining us here on the show and telling us more about Extract XC and some of the other great products from Loveland. We appreciate the time.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate you.